Okay, welcome back guys. This is Michael from SAE. Now I'm going to do a quick tutorial, this time lighting, and we'll be using Arnold lights. So rendering in Arnold. Okay, here I have a little character that I've actually developed earlier. I developed him for a small video game I was creating in Unity. So he's got a bunch of little animations, etc. Some facial gestures just going through here, okay, etc. So just pull back here a bit. What we're going to do, I'm going to set it up inside Arnold. Hey Arnold, so this is Arnold. So let's go up to our actual rendering settings, and by default you've probably been working with Maya software. Well, what we're going to do now is move into, oh, and by the way, software, it's really quick and you can get a nice little fast render. Okay, extremely quick. Let's change over to our Arnold renderer here. If you don't see the Arnold renderer, you probably don't have the actual plugin loaded, so you need to go up into Windows, Preferences, go to your plugin manager and scroll all the way down near the bottom where you should see the M2A. Make sure that's loaded. M2A, Maya to Arnold. Okay, so if I render this out now, going by the rendering settings with the Arnold renderer, and I'll hit a quick render, and basically I get a blank scene. It's basically saying, hey, there are no lights in your scene, you're getting nothing. It's just in the dark basically. Okay, I'm just going to position this a bit better. So let's create a light. Make this a bit larger too. So let's create a light. I'll go create lights. Let's go with, say, a spotlight. I'll just bring this up a bit where we can actually see it. Sorry, it's a point light, this one. Well, a point light will do. There we go. So we've got a little bit of light on our character right now. Okay, so let's render again and we'll see what we get. About there. Now you notice once again it's black. He's still in the dark. So why is this? Well, when we're rendering with Arnold, we need to set a couple of settings for the lights, and so let's have a look. I'll select my actual light, and over here you notice this is a point light, and by default decay rate is off. Now if I come down to Arnold tab, you'll notice inside Arnold the decay rate is quadratic. So we need to change this one also to quadratic. Now it changes, and the exposure, we don't want to start changing intensities too much here. You need to start working with the Arnold attributes down here. So I'll just bring the exposure up a little bit, not too much, and I'll just bring the, we'll do one quick render, we'll see if we get anything. Now it's looking dark, but I can actually see there is something happening in here. It's just really, really dark. So let me just up the intensity a bit. We'll see what we get here. What do I do? 5 for? There we go. I brought exposure up to 5. That's really pushing it now. So now I should be able to turn off the gamma and get my own settings here. So as you can see, that's how you're going to start to get lights and etc. working with the Arnold renderer. You need to change that quadratic, up your intensity, and then bring your exposure up. Now you notice the shadows here are extremely harsh, very, very harsh on the edges here. Okay, you're really seeing the edge. So to soften those shadows, you need to change the radius, bring that up to say 1, and now we're starting to see the softer shadows start to drop in. especially as it bleeds off here in the distance. What else can we change here? I'm even going to bring my exposure down a bit. Starting to drop off. Okay, and once again the samples at the moment are on 6, so I could start to play with those a bit more too. So you can see straight up we're starting to see a lot better quality in here. And that's just with a straight out point light. Okay, it's quite nice. Okay, let's move on and we'll try, let's move into, say, I'm going to change that to from a point light to a AI area light, which is an Arnold area light. Now it's an area light. Area lights work on the actual size of the light. So I'm just going to scale this one up a bit. There we go. Now we can start to see something. I'll pull it back a little bit. Alright. So once again, quadratic, intensity, exposure, down here. There we go. Normalize off on this one. So let's do a quick little render. We'll see what we get. Now we can also turn volume lights on here. So I need to increase the density. So I'm going to bring that up just a little bit, maybe 0.002. There we go. So now I'm seeing the volume light. Okay, and it's actually, I've got the density kicking in here, samples are up around 5, so that's not too bad actually. I like to play around a bit with the attenuation and anisotropy, and you can get some nice effects by just pulling that down and up a little bit as well. Okay, and what we're actually seeing here are the God rays, so we're actually seeing the light particles behind him that'll be streaming off of him, and that all comes down to the density. So if I were to bring density up even a bit more to 3, it's probably going to get a bit brighter. Yeah, it is. Okay, so next up, let's try a spotlight. So we'll go create lights, a typical spotlight. Hit 7 just so we can see that. I'll bring it up into space, there we go. I'll actually scale it up a bit so that we can actually see it properly. I'll rotate it. Okay. Okay, I'm just going to bring up the open up the cone angle a bit, and by adjusting the penumbra angle, it makes it a bit softer on the edges, then you get the drop off. Bring that one a bit wider even. So that's those ones, and then once again you need to be down inside your Arnold. It's using quadratic, so we'll go quadratic here. I'm going to take this one up higher. Bring up the exposure. There, now we're starting to see it. Bring the exposure up to say 40 or 50. Okay, now you are seeing it. Drop this one down, just down to 1. Now we'll play with this one, back down to say 20. That's better. Okay, so I've just adjusted the exposure down inside the Arnold tab here, and now we're starting to see our the light kicking in. just going to bring the light up a little bit. Okay, and make it a little bit wider. Now of course it's quite bright at the moment, so I'll even half that. Whoops, that's too much. Maybe about 16. There we go. 18. So it's all about trial and error here. As you can see, I have the sample set to 1. Radius, I will set that to 1 so that we can get softer shadows over the back here. Okay, so let's try it again. Let's try and introduce the if I come right down to the bottom, and we'll go light filters, and I'll go in this one here. I will use a gobo AI. This is the one I wanted before earlier, was the gobo effect. Now I'll double click the actual gobo, and under I need to bring density up, well, not too much. We'll try 0.01 for now, and we need to actually find in slide map. I will use a grid, but you could use a file, so you might use a black and white image. It could be leaves falling from a tree or whatever you wish, but I'll just go for a grid so you guys can actually see the effect. And under the actual texture up here, the 2D texture, I'm just going to increase this so it repeats the actual grid. Go to say 10 by say 10. Okay, and I'll reverse this so black is white and white is black. There we go. So you get the idea. Now you're seeing a bit of a grid flowing through here. Okay, if I come back up, I could increase this one to say, I don't know, 20 by 20. So there you're really seeing the grid pattern come through. So that could be, for example, like a frame, a window frame. So you have the light shining through there. Now click on the spotlight again and come back down, because what we could also introduce is near and far. Do we have near and far here? Yeah, we've got a blocker, light blocker, and we've got decay. I'll try decay, so I'll add that. Now come into the decay, just double click it. Here we go. So if I go near attenuation, and I'm just going to bring this one a little bit over so you can actually see it kicking in over here. If I turn on use near attenuation, and then just bring this up a little bit, not too much. There you can see it starting to clip a little bit more. There we go. And then the near end, it'll soften that. So that's the near. Okay, so before it was just the straight light. That's the near. Now I'll turn on the far, which is obviously going to clip it from the back. So 0, we need to bring that up. Bring it up till we start to see something. How high do we got to go? Oh, or maybe it's just the end there, sorry. There we go. There. Okay. So it looks like he's perhaps escaping from jail. Okay, so that is showing you creating God rays, etc. on a character. I could even rotate his head a little bit so you can see that a bit better maybe. So okay, let's move on. So that was introducing shafts of light, etc., using the Arnold renderer. So the last light that I'm going to introduce now is going to be a global lighting for HDR lighting, etc. There, about there. If we go view, and we're just going to import an image. What have I got here? The moon? No. If I go to my user pictures, MN New York, perhaps this one. Okay, and I'll just make sure this one's looking through the camera only, and I'll make sure also I'm going to set to resolution gate. Should be about the same size. Okay, now if I render this at the moment, it's probably going to come out black. No. There we go, but there's no lights in our scene. Just to confirm that, make sure there's no lights. So first I'm going to bring my ground plane down so as it fits into my scene. Looks like the actual ground in my scene. And I'll change that to object. Bring that across. Something like that. Okay, I'll just grab my little character and I'm just going to bring him down. There we go. I've actually got another. What have I got there? I just noticed I've got another ground plane there somewhere. Okay. I'm just positioning my guy. Okay, and this time we're going to use a special Arnold light that I can get. Actually, I can get it from Arnold Lights, and it's a sky dome light. Okay, and I need to apply the color to it, which is going to be my image. So I'll go File, I'll look for my image again, which was I placed it inside my pictures. You guys should probably put it inside your project folder, inside your images folder. Go that one. Okay, and then if I now render this again, I should see some light in my scene now. Yeah, there we go. So now I'm seeing the light, like a HDR style lighting, being applied to my character. So he's receiving very similar light to what's bouncing off the buildings, etc. So for now, what we need to actually do is get rid of that ground plane, and to do that we need to apply a different shader once again. So I'm going to go into my hypershade, and we need to get a special Arnold shader from here. Arnold. We've already used that sky dome. The next one we're interested in using is called a AI shadow catcher. Shadow catcher. I'll click that one once, and here's my shadow catcher. I'll just get rid of these ones. There's my shadow catcher, and what we're interested in first off in the shadow catcher is turning on enable transparency. Okay, that's going to hide it, but there's one more thing we need to do, so we can actually close that. Click on our actual ground plane in our viewport, and down inside the Arnold tab here with your image plane selected, make sure you turn off opaque. That's important. So now it's invisible and we're only seeing the shadows. Okay, so it looks like the character's actually in the scene. Nice one. So I'll just, and there's our final image. Fantastic. I'll turn off the gamma to get a true so that's quite nice. You can see the shadows just under his feet, nice and subtle. So I'd spend a bit more time on the lighting just to get similar lighting. I'd probably put a light in the foreground, in the background, shining back this way a little bit, etc. Okay guys, thanks for watching.